All right. I think we got it.
Nice.
Welcome to Anime on Draft episode 163, Road Sodas.
Road sodas.
Road Sodas.
Yes.
How are you, Mark? How are you with your road sodas?
Good. I wasn't planning to drink tonight, but I like saw this in my fridge. I was like, this is like 3%. This is whatever, you know. Just gonna crack this open.
Is it 3%?
It is 3%. That's like
a road soda.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty low, right? Like take that on the go.
Yeah. I have a significantly less alcohol percentage, which is in the very like point thousandths whatever percentage, and that is this kombucha.
Nice.
So this is the Whalebird kombucha dry hopped pamplemousse. So that is an interesting combination. I'm looking forward to seeing what a dry hopped kombucha will taste like.
Yeah, that's interesting. When you said that, I had to go look it up. It's interesting.
Yep. Well, what was the beer you have?
I cracked open the Modern Times Grodziski, or if I'm mispronouncing that, then pardon my Polish, because I think it's Polish. Grodziski, which it's a style of beer, which we'll get into.
Wait, that's the actual style of beer, the name?
It is actually the name, yeah.
That's good to know, because I would have just thought that it's like, oh, is it like a Pilsner? Is it a
name
something?
or something? I thought it was a Pilsner. That was my mistake. Like when I cracked it open, I was expecting like a Pilsner, but it's actually a smoked lager.
A smoked lager. Yeah. I wonder, does Grodziski mean smoked lager? A slogger?
A slogger.
A smlogger?
As I'm reading this, I'm learning more and more about it. So there's a couple of like really good websites. Beer and Brewing has a really good article about it, which I've been trying to get through, but I will teach you some. I believe it's sort of like it's just beer, essentially. It just means beer.
Nice. Doesn't mean smoked lager or anything. It just means beer.
It just means beer. Yeah.
I'll have to ask someone that's Polish. I think our friend Steve is part Polish, but he probably has no idea about any of his heritage. So
I have a friend who's Polish too, and I don't think that they speak Polish. I think like his grandmother speaks Polish, but I don't think that like they hold on to a lot of like traditions. I think like the best thing that they like have ever told me that they like celebrate is like they always have like what's the like potato, like not like gnocchi. I know
pierogies.
Pierogies, yes, yeah. They make those like during the holiday season, just like nonstop. Yeah, they're really good.
That sounds good. I think Steve said his like his grandparents made like pierogies. We need to have a pierogi day.
Yeah. They're like hearty as hell, dude. Like you eat a couple of those and you're like, all right, yeah, like I'm stuffed. Like, it's just so filling, because it's just like eating mass. Like you're just eating just straight filling.
That's your food of choice in the winter when you're trying to not just die in the
you just need sustenance.
Cold. Yes, exactly. All right. Well, that's good. We learned what a Grodziski is, which is just a beer.
Just beer.
It just means beer.
Yeah.
But why don't we get on to our pairing this week? So while we drink these beers, we've got our Orashiri episode 15s. So why don't we get into it?
All right.
Too bad it's not synced up with Chica's dance in there.
Perfect.
All right, so
we haven't had a good rock and roll night. We haven't had a good transformation in a while, man.
When was the last episode for that?
It's like episode like 10, maybe 11.
Yeah, is it? Probably because Himari is like
in the hospital,
semi alive, and she's not even being kept alive by the hat. So I guess that's like a main reason.
Yeah, because the last time she got turned into, or whatever it was, like wearing the hat, it was like she just went directly to the subway with Kanba, like, and that was it.
Yeah, and then she like grabbed his heart and squeezed.
Yeah,
just like
straight went
give
like
me,
Kaliba,
give me. But yeah, in this episode we kind of cover a little bit of what we were discussing last week with Yuri. So it's basically just all of her backstory. So it's not a very fabulous Max, as you mentioned earlier.
No, not at all. It's fabulously sad, man. It was tragic. It was a tough episode to watch.
Yeah, because it's a child and you're watching abuse happen and you're like, oh, why?
Yeah. And it's like the imagery in the show is like, it's so on point, but it's so hard to watch because it's like, you could tell what's going on, and they have like all these like little hints, like the bandages on her arm and her leg and on her face, and then you just hear like the chisel going and stuff, and it's like there's all these like reoccurring like images that the show just kind of flashes out at you to insinuate what's happening. It's so tough to watch.
Yeah, especially because they show a lot of different types of like odd like abuse. But like a lot of it is still like not just physically like violent abuse in terms of like hurting, like with the chisel image, but you even see like in the train, you see like some sort of weird sexual kinky tying up stuff, and like Ringo's tied up by Yuri. So it's just kind of odd to see this, and it's actually really disturbing to see it for like a child of her age.
Yeah, it's like kind of uncomfortable. Like this show does it like in like a very kind of neat way. Like it's like okay with making you feel uncomfortable about a lot of things, just because of like how extreme a lot of the stuff that is happening to some of the characters. But like, and I think we've discussed this too with like the bombing. It's like it kind of does it in sort of a like respectful way, in a sense. It's not like overly like implying or like showing like in graphic detail or anything. It's kind of just like touching on it and leaving it up to the viewers to sort of make those assumptions.
Yeah, let your imagination run wild, as you could say.
Yeah.
So, I guess let's get into Yuri's backstory. So I think it's kind of important to note that so like in Japanese, like the word for ugly, like minikui, like has a homonym, which like kind of just means like hard to see. So it's like kind of like unsightly, difficult to look at. So like
interesting.
It kind of fits with the I guess with what Ikehara likes to do, which is a lot of very wordplay, I guess wordplay inspired types of suggestions, I guess you could put it. So like I guess I want to ask you, since like this is your first time seeing it, like what do you think, like what is the reason you think Yuri is seen as like ugly, difficult to look at by her father?
So there was a couple things that like kind of popped like in and out of my head. I wasn't sure, and like definitely going into this episode, I had like completely different ideas of like how this was gonna go. And so like thinking back to that, I was already like, okay, well, I was kind of wrong.
Why don't you clarify like what?
So I thought it was more of like a gender type of issue. I thought maybe like she was struggling like with either gender identification early on, or it was sort of like a sort of like a confidence thing, like a confidence in herself. Like she thought she was ugly maybe because somebody had told her so. And so I thought that was sort of like the issue. But going into this episode, it was definitely more than that. mainly because there's so much like trauma that she faced from like her father, and like, you know, not like, basically equating to her like being ugly, which is a like super fucked up thing to say. Excuse my French, but man, it was terrible. Like, it was really awful. It's like awful to watch somebody call like their own child just straight up ugly, and then, you know, leads into him abusing her. So it was like it was rough. So now, like, after seeing this episode, it's like I have a different thought of like what Yuri was like calling herself of ugly is. I think it was more that she kind of considered herself like impure at that point. And I don't know. I mean, like, who knows what had happened with like the abuse that she faced from her father. There might be like some implication that he like possibly like mutilated her. I don't know, or you know, stole her virginity. And this is like getting super extreme because I don't know, like, that's just that thing that you're saying, like, my imagination is like running wild at this point.
Yeah.
So like there's just like all of these different ideas that are just like floating around in my head. It's like I don't want to think the worst, but like kind of have to imagine that she was like, you know, she woke up like naked on that bed.
What do you think is the most likely, I guess, scenario in terms of like her father like thinking she's like unsightly ugly, and like what he was trying to do to improve her beauty in his eyes, because he's like, I'm an artist, like, yeah, I have an eye for like the aesthetics, for beauty. Like,
so that was a weird thing too. It's like, so he's an artist, like he was obviously left by his wife, and I feel like he sort of has this like negative outlook possibly on like women as a whole, because like we keep seeing like these flashes of the female like statues who are either like broken or they're just like in repair or disrepair, and you know, like he's either trying to fix them or he's the one who is damaging them. You don't know, because like we have this peak male form that's outside, like, you know, the tower, which is the Statue of David, right? And so like, you know, saying that this is like she wasn't able to be free because that tower was there, like I kind of had this thought that like maybe, I don't know, he was like ashamed that she was a woman or female. I don't know, like it was a weird kind of thought to think that he would be so extreme in his, you know, standing of women at that point, especially towards his own daughter.
Yeah. So that's those are some good points. I don't want to like delve too far into it, since like you've already kind of brought up a lot of the ideas that the episode has kind of led us to kind of believe. But what do you think about, because we had the discussion last week about like Yuri and her name. She's kind of like this trapped bird in a bird cage, right?
Yeah.
So
totally.
We even see the fable of the ugly duckling brought up, and she says she hates the ugly duckling because it, like, how can something like go from an ugly duckling and become a beautiful swan overnight? She's like, she thinks it's like unbelievable because she's suffering this abuse from her father.
Yeah.
And he still calls her ugly, and like, just like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's like at that point, like, you know, what does she have to believe in at that, you know, like as a young child, being told by like your parents, you know, that you're ugly and you're not beautiful, you can never become beautiful, and then like being told by Momoka, like on the other hand, you know, where he's like, yeah, like you're beautiful, like, you know, just in like this very innocent way, and so like I think from her standpoint, it's like she doesn't know what to believe, also because she's told like not to trust other people. So I think like also growing up, she kind of like is still like in disbelief of that, especially since, you know, has the tragic loss of Momoka, just from such a young age. I think that doesn't help at all.
Yeah. Well, I guess going into Momoka, so we finally hear from her in this episode.
Yeah.
She has a prominent role in Yuri's backstory, and we kind of learn what her diary actually does, right? We
Right.
didn't know it had this function before.
No, definitely not. So that was a new thing too. So I guess we had always speculated that the diary was sort of this abstract idea, or at least that was my speculation from early on. And then now we get this, like, I guess, proof that the diary is actually capable of changing fate in quotes. Or, you know, but it has like it has its like backlash, or, you know, like you have to trade something for it.
Yeah.
It has a price. So that was new. That was interesting. And it was kind of weird too. Like, it was slightly extreme, but slightly random. Yeah. I have no idea.
Well, I mean, I guess
have no idea what to think.
since we kind of say that Ringo's been misusing it, right?
Yeah.
Because she's just reading what's going to happen and just following it to a T.
Yeah.
Whereas if she did what Momoka did, which was change what was written in the diary to transfer these fates, she would be receiving like the physical repercussions of what she's doing, kind of like what Momoka was doing. So
yeah,
it's kind of like this Momoka is acting as this hero of justice, magical girl type character.
Right,
and she even saves Yuri and, like, you know, saves her fate and takes, like, if you notice, like, she takes on all of Yuri's injuries. Because like Yuri no longer has like the cast on her arm and like the wounds on her legs. That's kind of been transferred onto Momoka, because like she's laying on the bed, she's got the injuries like in the same places. It's they said she just spontaneously burst into flames, so that's kind of an interesting way that the book just transfers
Yeah, it was at first, like, I kind of thought it was like interesting too that you know she took on those injuries, especially since Yuri had like woken up like sort of at peace and like she was like completely fine, even though, you know, like what had happened to her, you know, just before that was tragic. But yeah, I find that like Momoka's Momoka's like sacrifice was like worth it to her. You know, like she was willing to do anything like to help her. Just like really, really sweet.
Yep. And we also kind of learn from Yuri that when Momoka disappears, she had made a transfer.
Yeah.
So
that was the one thing that I wrote down, was like, so I don't know if I take that as a she actually didn't die in the bombing. Like, I would like to think that maybe something had happened to her, and you know, there's a possibility of her coming back. Excuse me. Or I think that possibly the bombing was a repercussion of using the diary. I don't kind of know at that point. That's why I was like, ooh, that was interesting use of words. Because like we see in the episode, like that imagery pops up again, and it's like, be careful of like getting out of the doors or something. Like there was like a sign on the floor where they're like sitting outside. It's like, don't, like, be careful of like crossing the platforms or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So what do you think happened to Momoka? So she disappears, but we know that on the day she disappears, that's the day of the sarin gas attack, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know if she actually like disappeared, or if, you know, she actually died. And I think that's maybe why Yuri is kind of hell-bent on getting the diary in order to see if she could change that. Because I don't think it might not be as like it might not be as straightforward as like bringing somebody back to life. I think it's more like, you know, bringing back the mistake that, or like whatever the choice that Momoka made,
transferring it back to like a previous station, I guess you would say.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Because the thing, I guess the way she says it is that she would sacrifice herself
Yeah.
or to bring Momoka back. So I think she understands the whole like give and take sort of relationship with this book that we're assuming is the Penguin Drum. And I think she probably is the only one that understands how it works, and everybody else that's looking for it probably doesn't understand how like exactly how it works. But everyone looking for it or trying to gain it, like Natsume and the penguin hats and the doctor, they're all looking for something that's gone, right?
Right. Which like makes me question the doctor as well. It's like he, and this is something that we've talked about before, it's like he seems to know more than he's willing to let on. So I think that somehow he might be connected to this, and is trying to get, you know, the diary back. I don't know at this point. That's just like my speculation.
I guess the last kind of thing to look at with this whole diary and like the book of transfers. So if we remember from episode 13, there was the whole like statement with like the Tokyo Sky Metro, and then like Tabuki kind of re says it, and it's that there are some things that can't be returned, right? So he seems to be like at peace and understands this, but Yuri is kind of hell bent on bringing Momoka back, and like these other people that want the Penguin Drum seem to want to bring somebody back. Like with Natsume, it's Mario, and she seems to also be interested in Kanba, right? And then with Kanba and Shoma, they want Himari back. Dr. Sanetoshi wants this mysterious girl back, right? The one that he keeps talking about.
Yeah. Like, we've seen like glimpses of like a girl. Yeah. Usually like in shadows or something. So we know that there's somebody else, you know, some sort of other connection.
Yep.
What if it's Momoka? I don't
know. She had similar hair, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. See, like there's all these like connections that keep going on. They keep popping up at least. That just makes me question everything. It's like this and Shinsekai Yori. It's like I started questioning everything, and at that point, like I don't know how how actually like positive it is to do that, because now I'm just like thinking like too much,
overthinking it.
Yeah, overthinking it like way too much. So I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess, is there anything else that you wrote down for episode 15?
I mean, no, that was pretty much it. I just like the use of imagery in the show is like on point. This episode was great. It's like right after Yuri says like I can never be free as long as this tower. What did she say? As long as this tower exists, I can't be free. And then it cuts to Shoma playing with that like that tower game that like could easily fall over. And that was great. That was a good cut. And then like the last thing I had a question about was the tower itself. So is there any importance or significance to it changing to the Eiffel Tower? Is that just like a random thing? Maybe
is it the Eiffel Tower?
Oh, is it the Sky Tower?
It's the Tokyo Tower is based off of like the same design as the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
But it is a good question you bring up, because the tower looks like the Statue of David, right?
Right.
So I don't know what do you think?
I don't know, man. I don't know. At this point, my brain is just like, it's just too
overloaded.
Full of, it's just too full of theories and questions that I have.
All right, that's fair enough.
Like, you don't know how like when I watch this episode, or when I watch these episodes of Penguin Drum, now I'm like, I have to like pause at certain points and like go back a couple like 30 seconds or so and like rewatch like segments, because I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah,
what?
Because like you read something, and you're like, wait, did it really say that? And then you just want to make sure.
It's like Monogatari all over again. It's like what I'm hearing them and like what I'm like reading them say, and like, you know, it's different than like what is like being flashed on the screen at you in like milliseconds. So it's like
too much imagery.
It's like I miss some things. So it's like I have to go back and view things over again.
At least it's not like Monogatari where it's flashes 50 words on the screen and then like does that like 6 times in a row, and you're like, what did that all say?
Yeah. There's like a whole wall of text just on screen, and it's only up there for like a second. You're like, okay.
Like, I hope you could read fast.
I mean, I'm sure like the point is not to just stop and read it. It's just like if you catch something, it's great. But like once it's over, it's over. But
It's supposed to be just, you know,
yeah.
if you get it, like if you get like you're supposed to catch glimpses of things that make
like
you think of subconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the power of, you know, viewing things over, we get to go back. So I find myself
correct.
doing that way too much for the show, which is, I don't know, it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. I'm enjoying the show nonetheless. So
That's good.
yeah.
I'm sure if Drew were here, he would say, "I'm so glad that we're rewatching this and that you guys are getting to experience this."
Yeah.
So I will say his words for him.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
All right. So I guess moving on to Shinsekai Yori, episode 15. This one was another eye-opening episode, right?
Yeah, this was a crazy one. Yeah, so much shady shit is going on again. But this time now it's not with the people. Now it's with the Bakenezumi. And
Those damn rats.
this damn rats. Squealer, what was his name that they changed it to?
Squira, I forgot what they changed it to, like
Takemono or something? I don't know.
it was like Yoko something. Yoko
Yeah.
Ono.
Yoko Ono. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
Sashi Kishimoto.
yeah.
I don't.
It was something that I didn't write down what they changed his name to, but I think the more important thing is that he called himself like the representative of the colony. So like, and he shows Saki and Satoru this concrete building they make, and he calls it the national, like the Diet. So that's their parliament right there.
Yeah, man.
They essentially nixed the queens. Now they're these just breeding farms.
Yeah.
And he's the representative. He's like the prime minister now.
They're like zooming past in like civilization right now. Like they got concrete buildings. They have an assembly. They have like full scale like armies and like chains of command. Yeah, it's crazy. This whole episode was like so like suspect, especially because he mentions, and I skimmed through the notes, but yeah, he mentions the book, which yeah, that was.
What do you think about that? Do you think it's a book?
No, I mean, I'm sure. Well, I think Satoru mentions that he probably found Minishiro, so that's probably my best guess too. So he found and captured one and learned everything, which is like scary, very scary to think about.
Yep, because they have the knowledge about the PK powers and kind of what the technological society did to tame the humans, right?
Right.
So what could
like
this
scary.
knowledge go, like how could this become useful for the rats?
Yeah, it's like scary because I mean, like not only are they like advancing in like this like intelligence sphere, they could also be advancing in like a militarized fashion. Especially since now they have like other colonies that are like falling in line with them, so they're only going to grow in like power and number, as well as, you know, like what are they going to develop that could help fight back against people. It's scary. It's like based upon the last time that we saw them, they're like living underground and, you know, throwing rocks and spears. It's like now they have concrete buildings and national assemblies.
They've gone from the Stone Age to the
straight to the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
Like,
Industrial Age.
What's next? He's gonna show up and they're like using like fusion power. Like
They got like they've developed nuclear weapons and all that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, it's kind of a jump, but I mean, like, who knows? Because they have like all this knowledge now. Yeah, especially with they're being led by Squealer, whatever his name is now, who is got his own agendas and he's super sketchy.
Yeah. Speaking of Squira, so they keep showing him whenever he talks to Saki and Satoru.
Yeah.
They show like not his eyes, they'll show like his mouth. And so like that's always like this sign, like whenever you see that kind of like extreme close up, like it's this idea that he's telling, or that you're only getting half the truth, right? Because
Right.
other parts of your actual body like exhibit communication through body language, and because we don't see his eyes, we're just seeing his mouth move. We're just supposed to take things at kind of face value, just like what he says. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, and even Satoru like starts like picking up on that. He's like, can we really trust what he's telling us, or like what he's telling us and what he's doing is like not matching up. And it's like really, really suspect, especially because, well, we also get like an instance where like they do zoom into his eyes, and his eyes starts twitching when he's talking about absolute faith, or like to the queen and to the colony. So I thought that was kind of weird too. It's like there's like these little instances of like him definitely lying about what's going on.
yeah, but
We're not getting full stories.
like he says that, but they overthrew the queen. Who says that they won't do that with their gods, right?
Right. So they did like lobotomize the queen. Is that what happened?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So
that
like
was crazy.
they are no longer functioning emotionally, but they are functioning, I guess, reproductively, which is kind of an odd thing to say.
Disgusting.
And they like are performing C-sections on the queen to get the babies out. It's kind of
It's wild.
and weird.
Yeah.
The other thing with Squira, so it might be something that's lost in translation, because this is a fairly older show that Crunchyroll picked up. So normally I feel like they would have done a bigger effort to kind of try and match the tone of like the Japanese. So Squira talks in a way that is very much like fitting into hierarchy, like like the actual like social and like I guess caste system.
Yeah.
So he speaks as if he's this like loyal monster rat, like at the bottom of the totem pole, and he's speaking down on himself, like using Japanese that speaks down on himself, and then he speaks up to Saki and Satoru. So it's like this very like respectful speech, but we are only seeing like the half truth, and Satoru even is just like I just like can't. My gut is telling me that we can't believe anything he's saying.
Right. But he like buys into it anyways, which is like it's frustrating, because it's like they're very hesitant to just like blindly like accept like what he's saying, but they're also like just so easily like persuaded by them, because they're like calling them gods, and like they're like trying to pose it like, oh, we need to attack or get to this other colony because we want to help you, and that's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
So it's like
help you.
Yeah, right. It's like they have their own agendas, but Satoru and Saki are like not quite picking up on that yet.
It's like as soon as you see them all dressed in military garb, it's like, wait, why we're not going to war? Look, they attacked you. It's like they're speaking in their rat language that they don't understand. So like you could probably think that they're just threatening him, and so
yeah, because it's like a show of force. Like they have their gods there. And then the other clan doesn't, so like of course they're going to be threatened and feel scared. Like who wouldn't in that sense?
And then that little smirk he has when he does the whole brown nosing shit. And
dude, he definitely
they agree. Like Satoru finally agrees to do it, and then he just like that little smirk comes out. It's like you can tell he's using everything, he like his whole cunning to trick them to do exactly what they want.
Yeah, it's so sketchy. Like it's like really it's creepy. Yeah, I and the fact that like they're so they do it so easily. You know, it's like they're so easily caught up in playing gods that like they don't. I feel like they find it hard to like be too inquisitive into like what they're actually asking them to do. Uh, yeah,
And they are
maybe it's
so
just because
kids.
yeah, right. As I was gonna say, it's maybe it's because they're young. You know.
They don't have the wisdom that like if these were the adults, like granted the adults are like just terrified about like the karmic demons and everything, but if it comes to dealing with this kind of stuff, they would like probably instantly wipe out that whole colony.
Right, because that was something that like was mentioned early on was like the adults like don't ever want to see them, right? Like they just treat them like trash essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, it definitely has to do with, you know, like their age. And that's something that like we saw early on too. It's like they Squira already is like familiar with the kids, you know, and like knew that by getting like calling them gods, he was going to get them to sort of be on like their side, like no matter what.
Yep.
Especially with wiping out that other colony. Yeah.
Well,
It's smart. Like it's very smart.
It's such an interesting thing because if you remember like in earlier episodes I was asking you guys like what you thought about the idea of like these monster rats and the idea behind their civilization, their society, like because Drew mentioned before, I think, that they seem more like people, because he thought like, are these the other people that with the PK powers that mutated and became like the new humanity or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, that's a good idea to think about. But what I was really thinking about was this episode in particular, where like Satoru is the one that brings up, I think they're trying to become humanity, you know, like become the new humanity.
Right, because they're capable of that. Like obviously, like they're capable of, you know, having advanced thinking and, you know, building towns and having concrete buildings and having assemblies. Like they're capable of it, but they just weren't doing that because they were being like either kept down forcefully by like, you know, like actual civilization, or they just didn't have the knowledge to, or the means, I guess, at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like so spread out. And now that, you know, Satoru and Saki have sort of influenced this singular colony in order to give them power, it's like there's like no stopping them at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Unless they're in, you know, there's some kind of involvement by Satoru or Saki.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see.
We'll find out. The interesting thing about this is, so if we talk a little bit about the whole false Minoshiro thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you remember, the humans have all this like genetic programming. There's like the whole shame of death kind of thing, and then there's the flash of light that affects their mental state. As it's like the Minoshiro's defense system against the PK users,
Right.
but that's not going to affect a monster.
Do they have that? Right. Like, I don't think that they have that. Or they don't have those limitations. Yeah. Which is, now that they know that too, it's also scary. Because
there's this whole fountain of knowledge,
right,
that is now accessible to this race of, or this species that
this,
is
like,
now
subservient species who is like learning and willing to kind of play
adapt.
dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's scary. Like, it's like really creepy, you know, like thinking that like these rats are just like able to evolve so quickly and becomes like such a threat, like an unknowing threat too at this point.
yeah. And
Like,
it's
kids
just
have no
like
idea.
they have this knowledge. They know exactly what's been programmed into the humans, so they know exactly. It's just like knowing the back doors to everything.
Right.
It's like before they could fear because it was unknown, right? They just had to just believe in the power. But now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, we can get around this power with cunning because we have the knowledge. But it was the humans themselves that kind of put this on, like on themselves by like, oh yeah, well, we got to keep all this information. Oh, for what?
Yeah, like exactly for what? And at this point, like now it's a matter of protecting, and are they even like capable of adapting to it and changing?
I don't know, because they're keeping themselves out of the loop.
Right.
Like they
Right.
think that like keeping the knowledge away from the other humans will prevent any more of these karmic demons from spawning. So it's like this trade-off, like the less people know, the more you can control them, right? Well, that's not working for the monster rats anymore because
Now that this outside force like knows about it, like it's obviously going to be a threat because, how are they going to utilize that knowledge against humanity or the civilization that we know?
and we know that they've been used to kill humans before. So
Right.
they at least know that they have the ability to kill the gods.
Yeah. And I feel like going back to the whole, like speech patterns that Square is using, I feel like that he knows like exactly what he's doing. And by calling them gods still, I feel like, it's just a manner of, addressing them appropriately and playing along.
Yep. I agree. So actually, I thought that I had seen up to episode 17. This is actually the last episode I had seen prior.
Oh, so you're out now. You're
Yeah.
one of us.
So now we're all in the same boat. We all are new to the last few episodes of the series.
All right. That's exciting. Now we're
Yeah.
all going to be just as lost.
Uncharted territory for everybody.
Uncharted territories. Now nobody knows what's going to happen except for the people who have watched
Who
the
have
show
seen it
already.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're going to now we get fresh looks all around. It's
Yep.
great.
So it's fun now having to speculate what's going to happen. And
Nice.
like seeing this episode again for the third time, it just makes things like it puts everything into perspective because I don't think like I really paid attention to a lot of this stuff before. So I'm actually glad that we're rewatching this like on a weekly basis rather than just binging it, because before I had just binged episodes and that you don't really get time to think when you binge.
Right. Yeah, see, like with Penguin Drum, I feel like I would like happily binge it, and I would love to just like get through like all of the emotions that I would feel, especially because it's a really good show, and I want to know like what happens next. And in this show, I am like glad that we watch it week to week. I'm also glad that I would happily probably binge it, but I'm glad we are watching it week to week because, like you said, yeah, I get to think about it more in depth. And yeah, this is another one where I kind of go back and rewatch like certain parts, like maybe not as much as like Penguin Drum or like Monogatari. I just rewatch it because there's a lot of like
Just little hints, right?
yeah, like psychological things that like happen, or like really really minute details where I'm like, did his face like kind of his smile like lifted up, or his eyes twitch or whatever, or like if we see more like wind and stuff, I don't know. Yeah, so it's like little things that I'll like I want to go back and see.
Yep. I do the same with this show too, just because I just go like, was that something? Kind of you just want to make sure. Because like with these shows you don't want to kind of mislead yourself.
Right. Yeah, especially because we're like always speculating about what's gonna happen. Like this is the one where it's like I have an idea, and like I want to make sure that my idea is like sound. With Penguin Drum, it's like I have no fucking clue what's going on, but maybe like here's what I think.
Yeah, that's a little more abstract, whereas this is more like there's an actual setting that you get the world that it's in.
Yes. Great way to put it.
All right. Well, anything else on Shinsekai Yuri that you want to discuss?
Nah, I'm glad that we're all going into it fresh. This is gonna be uncharted territory. It's gonna be fun.
All right. Well, Moving on, why don't we talk about your beer? What do you think about that Grodziski?
Yeah, it's really good. I'm actually like powering through this. Not only is it hot, but it's actually really good. It is sort of like a pilsner. It's like a smoky pilsner. I think that's probably the best description that I would give for it. Like it's like got a little bit of malt. It's like really smoky up front, like especially from the smell. That's why I was like, as soon as I cracked it open, I was like, whoa. I thought it was a pilsner and it was smoky. So it definitely threw me for a bit of a loop. But yeah, it's actually really good. It's got a lot of flavor to it. The smokiness is not like super powerful. The last like smoked beer that I think I had on the show was the smoked porter from was it Bell's Brewing?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't like a huge fan of that one. I thought it was like too smoky. But this is actually really balanced. I'm actually like very surprised. I don't. Yeah, this is actually really good. I'm enjoying this.
It's not like too strong of a flavor, I guess.
No, it's pretty subtle. Like I think like just the shock of like the smell at first, like was that was the thing that kind of threw me off a little bit. But it's actually a pretty mellowed out smokiness. You definitely get like a lot of the like classic pilsner flavors. Yeah, I think you guys are gonna enjoy this one.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I was like, I have this article up and I was like reading into it a little bit. So it's been called the Polish champagne with a hint of smoke. It's sort of, so it's been around for centuries apparently. But yeah, Grodzitsk, excuse my pronunciation, is essentially just like an old-fashioned way of saying beer. But this is like a very classic style that was like shipped to like areas near Graz. Yeah, so it's like near Germany. So it's like very close to Germany. So yeah. This is an interesting one. There's a lot of history on it. I think after you guys have this, I'm gonna read this and then come back to you guys on it because there's a lot of history in this beer. Yeah, I'm kind of excited for you guys to try this. I think that you guys are gonna like this.
All right. Well, do you want to rate it now, or do you want to wait until we have it like as a group?
I'm gonna rate it now. I think this is like a solid 4.
It's a 4. Good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
sounds like it's decent. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this. Like I'm almost done with this. I'm powering through this one. Umai! Yeah. Umai! Like it.
All right, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to having that. I have 4 of those sitting in my fridge.
Nice.
Well, I guess I'll briefly go over this kombucha that I have. So this is the Whalebird dry hopped pamplemousse kombucha.
Mm-hmm.
So it is surprisingly not as hoppy as I thought it was going to be, because I've had a dry hopped tea from what is it, Go Get 'Em Tiger here in LA.
Yeah.
And that like they dry hop with citra hops, and it like you get like that slight bitterness of the hops in there. And it kind of does blend well with like the very fruity tea that it's with. This is like I'm getting a lot of citrus and like that kombucha like fermentation, like the sour flavor.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm not really getting the hoppiness. I don't know if the hoppiness is just the sort of it's just not as sour as I would imagine a normal kombucha to be. Because it's like, you know, like if you've had kombucha before, you know it has like that kind of just like sort of strong fermented vinegary taste that this definitely doesn't have. I'm just looking at the ingredients. We've got, you know, kombucha ingredients, cane sugar, black tea, seasonal hops, edible grapefruit essential oil, pink Himalayan salt. So if you didn't know, pamplemousse is grapefruit. So that's where like this huge citrus flavor comes from, but like I feel like I'm not really getting the hops.
Interesting.
I get like at the end a little bit of the black tea aftertaste, but I don't really think I'm tasting hops. So
What do you think the dry hopping does to the kombucha, like in the brewing process?
I don't know.
Do you think it sweetens it up, like makes it bitter? Because I mean, like kombucha itself is brewed with a lot of sugar, but like when you're dry hopping it, like you're just kind of like letting it sit in the hops. Like, do you think that like the kombucha itself sort of like loses some of that sweetness or gets I don't know, does it get sweeter? I really don't know, like I'm like very curious.
I would assume I'm not a brewer, obviously.
Why don't you know this?
But I would assume that the bitterness is supposed to cut through the sort of sour and sugary, like the sweetness,
Yeah.
and the sort of like floral flavor coming from the hops would kind of add like a different complexity in terms of like flavor profile.
Yeah, I guess it makes it a little more earthy in a sense.
But I don't really get that.
Interesting.
So like other things I have had dry hop that aren't beers, I have gotten a lot more hops. I don't know if that's just like them being more heavy handed, but like maybe Whalebird is being less heavy handed, I guess is the best way to put it. They don't want to off put people that would want to drink it, because you don't really think that the main target for kombucha are beer drinkers, although a lot of beer drinkers do drink kombucha. But I guess like just people that are kind of health conscious, a lot of maybe just like people that drink kombucha don't want like the beer flavor.
Yeah. It's kind of this like, it's also sort of sitting in between like two like sort of extreme styles of brewing. Because like you get like the sour notes from kombucha, and then you get like super bitter notes from like especially dry hopping. Then it's double dry hop too. And so it's interesting that you're not getting like an extreme of either one.
I would like to see more hops in a kombucha. I want to see a kombucha that has a bit more of that, just so that I could see what that flavor profile is like.
I'm down to try a couple. I think I've seen a couple at my local liquor store. I might pick something up and see if I can find something that might be similar to that.
Yeah, because it's an interesting thing that like we're seeing so much
More and more
craft go into it. Like I just am saying it like in general, like craft, because we see it's not just in craft beer now. Like we see like this sort of craft in kombucha. We see it in spirits. There's a lot of craft spirits out there. And I guess like wine has like sort of become a little bit more craft. You still have to have the sort of resources and like functionality to actually have a winery and like make wine, but like it's a lot. It's not as like cut and dry as it was before. Like especially
it's
in
branching
California.
out into other areas, especially like with like beer, like or seltzers too. It's like you're getting a lot of these like weird sort of like experimentations of like what can we pair with this wine? What can we mix it with? Can we brew it with? You know, and yeah, definitely it's interesting. I have been seeing a lot more like kombucha. Like there's that like hard kombucha, you know, and I've been seeing a lot more of it. I just haven't gotten like into tasting them. I think it's also because kombucha itself is like it's not hard, but it's also kind of hard to brew by yourself. It's just a matter of like starting it. That's like the hardest part. But when you're trying to like mass produce kombucha, it's like I find that like to be very difficult, because like when you start experimenting with things, like you're doing so in like large batches, and then when you start to experiment, it's like things can go wrong so easily, or they can just, you know, end up like kind of flavorless or whatever. I find pretty interesting. I wonder how like I'm kind of curious how like canning process works too, if that changes flavor, because I feel like find a lot of kombuchas being in like glass bottles.
Yeah. I
which
normally have kombucha from glass bottles because canning does affect the
changes.
taste,
Yeah.
especially like with beer.
Hmm.
So, well, I don't know if it affects it as much as before because there are a lot of breweries that now just strictly do cans. Like Modern Times, like mostly does cans. I've seen a lot of other breweries move to just strictly cans just because it's so much easier to distribute and
Right,
it's a smaller footprint as well. Because it's like when you go to take out your recyclables, like you can crush down an aluminum can to a smaller size than you got a glass bottle that is going to take up a lot of space, is a lot heavier. Probably
Yeah.
the weight has to do with the shipping too. But
Right. Yeah, and I feel like having kombucha in glass, it's like it allows for like just like slightly more aeration in it, so it's like it'll age a little bit, which will change the flavor. But it's also good for certain kombucha because like having it age just slightly is better, especially when you're shipping it out, because like you want to ship it out when it's like right before it's about to
be consumed.
at its
Yeah.
right. So like they take that into consideration. That's why I'm wondering like if it's canned, if they have to tweak it a little bit so that when you the consumer finally get it, it's going to have its flavor slightly altered, or at least like you need to just open it up right away.
Yeah. What I do think, at least with this kombucha, is I feel like I wish it was a little bit more different because a lot of the kombuchas tend to taste the same, similar to one another.
Yeah.
So I would like to find a craft kombucha brewer that
It
is
has like
willing to take a little bit more risks.
yeah, it's like more of a heavy-handed flavor at least.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, when you think about hops, you think about heavy-handed flavors. So
Right. It's exactly true. Yeah. Right.
all right. Well, I guess if I had to rate this thing, it's not really a beer, but it is a brewed thing. I would give it like a 3, just because I feel like it's just a normal kombucha that I wish a little bit more out of. So not bad.
Yeah, like it's drinkable, but you want something that has slightly more flavor.
Yeah.
Guess
I
that's-
mean, I normally get like a different brand of kombucha.
yeah.
This one's just a little bit more on like the vinegary sour end, which is a little off-putting.
Yeah,
but-
people like that. They find that's a big thing that people don't like in kombucha is that it can taste like vinegar so easily.
And this one is pretty vinegary. Maybe it's the canning process. You might be right there.
Possibly. Yeah,
Killed
I
all
feel
the
like-
yeast, and it didn't eat up the sugars, so it's all messed up. I don't know.
all that vinegar stuff is just sitting at the bottom. I've definitely done that before.
So
Definitely.
that's an unfortunate situation. But why don't we move on to our news real quick? So the Anime Times released a list of the confirmed anime airing in the fall 2020 season. Of note, Attack on Titan season 4 appears to be on track to premiere in the fall. We have the list if you can read Japanese. So I guess we can post that in the chat if we want to, but
I just pulled it up and I was like, man, I wish I could speak Japanese. That'd be nice, but I mean, here you go.
so Mark's putting that in chat. Next up, so this is from a translated NHK News article. This was translated by Anime News Network. So NHK reports that Act Age story creator Tatsuya Matsuki has been arrested on suspicion of committing indecent acts with a minor. It is reported that he touched a middle school girl inappropriately while riding past her on a bicycle and later did the same to another student. Matsuki told police that the accusations are correct. Weekly Shonen Jump editors released a statement, believe this was today, that they have told the artist for the series, Usazaki Sensei, that the series has ended with the latest combined chapter release. Due to the nature of the situation, they felt that they had the social responsibility to do what was right, despite the series' popularity and support. So there goes Act Age.
And that's super unfortunate. I mean, like, a lot of people are saying, it obviously shouldn't have happened, and then it's like I feel really bad for the victims, and I feel really bad for the illustrator herself. So I just hope that Shonen Jump is willing to support both sides, both of the victims, I guess. Really, it's super unfortunate.
And hopefully, because this happened, it doesn't mean that there will be any sort of bullying for the victims.
Right, because like it's a common thing that happens over there for some reason, especially like if you're the cause of
just
I guess just anything
that is,
that people like,
see
have
negatively,
attachment to.
Yeah,
and people take it in the wrong way. It's unfortunate, but hopefully like I said, hopefully Shonen Jump is willing to support the victims.
Like whether that means getting a new series for Usazaki Sensei, and maybe I don't know how exactly you would treat this sort of situation with Act Age, because it's like, do you want to have that association by continuing it with another story writer, or do you want to just do a new series altogether?
I think that they made the right move here. It's just kind of just cut their losses and say that they don't want to have any future part in it, and then like show support to the illustrator by getting them with another like future prospectful illustrator or story writer, and just say that they're willing to move on and look past this.
Hopefully that happens, and then I guess that is going to mean anything Act Age related is going to be done, so that stage play is probably done too.
Yeah, man, that sucks. I mean, I'm really sad. Like I thought that was a great series. I was hyping it up, like months, and to hear about this is like heartbreaking.
And then the author turned out to be a pervert.
Yeah, man, it's unfortunate.
Well, on in brighter news, Anime News Network reports that Crunchyroll and Funimation are adding the English dub for SAO Alicization to their streaming services, and then High Dive will be adding the English dub of Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time to their streaming service starting August 21st. Don't watch either of those, so if you are interested in either of those series, an English dub is coming. ANN reports that the 20th volume of the Beastars manga revealed that the anime adaptation's second season will premiere in January 2021 for the winter season, so that's good to know.
Nice.
More Beastars is always good.
Hell yeah.
And then another report from ANN. The Gundam.info YouTube channel has posted a new inspirational video titled Beyond, featuring a message of hope from many of the series' protagonists. The message appears to be about connecting humanity in these times of trial and uncertainty, and that humans everywhere, from the front lines to each individual home, can do anything if they unite their wills together and show empathy for one another.
I fucking love that. That's awesome.
This is actually a very good video. So if you haven't seen it, I don't think that is linking to the video itself, but the video's in there.
I liked it.
So yeah, the video is a very good watch, especially if you're a fan of Gundam. So I would for sure watch it. It's a nice kind of cut together sizzle for Gundam in general. You get to see a lot of your favorite protagonists. Like they have the voice actors from like the original series all the way up to like the later, like some of the latest series speak in this video. It's really cool.
Nice. I'm gonna put it in our Discord too, so people can head over there and watch it as well.
Cool. Last piece of news is kind of a tie-in with our next segment, our discussion topic. So an opinion article from Jacobin Magazine brings up the idea that open container laws in the US only serve to punish working class citizens and make life less fun, quote unquote. This brings us to our next segment. So we have a discussion topic. Should laws in the US change to allow drinking in public? Let's discuss.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm like kind of torn on this, and forgive me for going first in our discussion.
No, go ahead.
But yeah, like I'm kind of torn simply because like we've been to Japan. They have open container laws. It's great. It's awesome being able to go to a park and just like sit somewhere, sit down, hang out, and have some strong zeros. I would love to do that here. I know, like growing up in a beach city, I should say going to college in a beach city. It's not like I was growing up and going to the beach with some road sodas.
Yeah, he's like hit him up.
A family outing.
Five-year-old Mark just with a beer.
That's where I say no. Sorry, going to college in a beach city. I thought it was great when we could go to the beach and have some beers, and we did it illegally, I should say. It's like, because it's not allowed on the beach, even if you have it. Yeah. Right, even if you have it in a container, But if that was possible, I think that would be awesome. I think it'd be great. But there's also this other side of me that knows the dark nature of our country, and people would abuse the shit out of it, because it's not the same. We are not in the same type of mind frame as other countries like Japan.
Yeah, we're not Japan. We don't have the same societal norms and just meant like overall like thought as a country. Like we don't really respect. I don't want to say we don't respect rules in the U.S., but we put rules out there and then don't really follow them.
Yeah. I mean, like open container laws are a thing in like Nevada. I think they said like, like Illinois, I think is another place. So like it's possible, or like Louisiana. Like it's possible, and like you could do it, but it's like we don't tie those major cities as being like the best cities in the nation. It's like
there's the negative connotation that you put with those cities, and then now saying that they have open container laws.
Right. And it's like Las Vegas it's fun, but it's also like a slightly grimy place. And it's sorry for anybody who is from Las Vegas.
Sorry, Alec.
Alec
lives in Vegas. He's not from Vegas, but he lives there.
But like you have to you have to see that is like a slightly valid statement. Like it's it has its problems, I should say. But like, so if we were to take those laws and like just spread them equally across the country, it's like that it opens up so many other like issues, depending on like state to state, city to city. I'm sure there would be a lot of like, people who would easily take advantage of this.
Yeah. We are a huge country.
Right.
So
right. And it's like
population and like all the, like just even just the sort of enforcement over like per square mile, it's hard to kind of keep everybody I guess
in like a positive like
yeah, like keep them on the straight and narrow, right? So
yeah.
Like I would like to see it. I feel like this is definitely, I feel more cities and more states. This would probably fall under a state guideline rather. I don't know if like different cities and municipalities can kind of judge over this. I don't know really where that jurisdiction falls upon, but I feel like this is definitely something that like
fall into
it. If different states wanted to do it, they could. I could see like a beer lobby kind of pushing for that because it increases their revenue, especially in coastal states.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's
like
interesting.
Heavy states would definitely benefit from this more. But I mean, like, then again, it's like if this was to be like a blanket, like nationwide thing, it's like not only would like tourist states benefit from it, but like I feel like, and maybe this is me just thinking like, hopefully, but like I feel like anybody would be happy to not feel sort of like a stigma for just going to a place that's like in public and like having a beer. Because I mean, like that's not saying that public intoxication isn't gonna just like go away
that's
too.
still going to be illegal.
Right. But it's like it's opening up this possibility of like, well, you can do it, but you still have to do it
In
responsibly.
moderation. Like, you can't be like that
Drink
drunk.
responsibly.
You can't be that drunk Japanese businessman that's passed out in the middle of a train station, face down.
I think it's great, man. I think that's awesome. I aspire to be there at one point in my life.
You're
It's
just reminding
not-
me when,
not in the US.
when we were last there, last train back from Shinjuku, and there's this trail of vomit like leading to the bathroom, and it's like,
So
oh
bad.
god.
You're like, I'm not gonna go here. Yeah, but then again, that just becomes the cultural differences, or it's like you could feel safe by doing that in Japan, and know that at least there's a very very low chance of somebody like robbing you.
If you're just passed out on the side of the road.
Right, is you just kind of like respect that. Oh, this dude is effed up. Like, I'm just gonna leave him alone.
Yeah.
That definitely wouldn't happen here in the U.S.
Yeah,
It's
like
I
where's
could
my
say
shit?
that.
I literally don't even have underwear on. Like,
Woke up with no pants on. I woke up with no underwear, but my pants are still
where's
here.
my
What?
kidneys? They're gone too. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like that's like that's a possibility. That's I could see that being far likely than that happened elsewhere. But I mean, like like we look at like other like European countries, and it's like that is also a thing too, and it's like it's sort of like this just accepted policy where it's like normal, and people don't abuse it because it is and it has been normal, or at least a choice. Whereas here in the U.S., it's like now it's like a stigma, it's like, or now that it would be just like blanketly legal, people would take advantage of it like easily.
yeah, I feel like another issue would be a lot more people having DUIs.
Yeah.
That would for sure be an issue. There's so many, like, it's hard to kind of just say this blanket statement, but like we're such an irresponsible group, like just I guess group of citizens, like as a whole. Like like America's like a very free country, and we're pretty irresponsible when it comes to that kind of stuff. I feel like if we were a little bit more responsible, I would be more okay with having open container laws. I feel like there could be a little bit less restriction on it, like having a beer at the beach.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's something that you could legalize here in California.
Sure.
That's not really something that I see as being necessary, but
Yeah.
I do also kind of feel like there are things that are people do irresponsibly, like driving drunk, just being passed out in the middle of anywhere, being like super belligerent, like could be an issue.
You should think about like littering too. That could also become another problem. So I'm sure that like if you were to create like laws, like littering laws, like actually enforce punishments, I feel like that may help like stymie some sort of backlash, I guess. But I mean, then again, that just entirely falls on how people react to it and how respectful they are.
Yeah, I think it's also, I guess, noteworthy to point out that it may be a negative influence on like bar culture. So that might be a thing where small business owners would like group up together and be like, well, this is going to affect our business if people don't have a place to come to for their drinking and they can drink in public. It might be it. I don't know exactly, but I could see potential sparks flying there.
Yeah, it would be interesting too, because I'm sure that would shape the way that like I guess like those sort of communities are formed, because it's like if you were to have open container laws around like a place that is selling alcohol, or like around like say in like downtown or something, then you would definitely have like a congregation of like places that sell alcohol, and because it's like, well, now you can just drink anywhere in this certain area, and then but it's like outside of this area, it's like it's not legal anymore. So yeah, I feel like in like one sense, it would be beneficial for like restaurants or bars or whatever, to sort of congregate and be around that area and support like one another, especially like support the community. But on the other hand, it's like anybody who's outside of that sphere is now gonna like think about it as like this sort of word I'm looking for. It's sort of like just like it's a negative like on the rest of whatever city, municipality, wherever you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Will turn into liquor stores versus bars.
Right.
Liquor stores want it, the bars don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, I would think it would be great. I think it would be awesome. It would definitely make for it would definitely be more fun to go out and go to the park if you were able to meet up and have some beers. But I guess then again, it's like, is it necessary? No. I don't know.
I could see it going either way. I think most likely I could see less restrictions happening, but it's still pretty restricted.
Yeah. I think that would be like best choice scenario or best case scenario. Best choice. Best choice. My best choice, but best case scenario would be like, yes, it could be legal, and as long as there are, factors that are weighing on, the choice that you have to make in order to drink in public. Yeah. You got to get your license to drink in public.
Hey,
I have my drinking license right here.
You have your DIP license?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man.
All right.
I mean, you have to be 21 and yourself to drink. It's like you got to be responsible in that aspect. You had to drink responsibly.
I feel like this is something that we could probably discuss more at even with the other guys when they're around. But
yeah, I'm curious to know what they think too,
because like Alec living in a place that you can do that is like a different perspective. But I don't know how much he's actually done drinking in public in Vegas.
I mean, I know whenever I go to Vegas, it's like hey, I can drink when I'm walking the strip.
Well, yeah, you're holding a friggin' like
32-ounce
blue Hawaii Frosty from Paris, just walking down the strip.
Yeah. I mean, like, absolutely. But like, I guess that's a good point though. It's like you said, it's like the people who live there obviously like they don't care. It's like
they
sure
avoid
we can
the
do
strip.
it, but right. It's like sure we could do it, but like it's not like I'm gonna go out every day, every night, and just like get belligerently drunk. It's like it's a possibility. So sure, if I can, I would take advantage of it, but it's not like a life changer. I guess that's like one way of looking at it too.
Yep. Well, I'm up for less restrictions, but still be reasonable.
Yeah, just let me have a road soda. Yeah.
Not in the car.
Not, yeah, that's I meant take one to go. Like to go somewhere.
All right. So moving on. So our final topics will be the current airing summer 2020 anime. So first up on our slate is Kanojo Okarishimasu. So I mean,
this is the one
still don't really like Kazuya, but
yeah. So this is the episode that I was like, you make it up to this point, the last episode and this episode, and then you need to make a decision. It's like it's pretty much you know how it's gonna play out from now on.
I mean, I guess I'm just in it for the long haul. We're already like halfway through it, so I still really don't like Kazuya, and I see what they kind of did with Chizuru is have this suspension bridge effect that they're putting on her. He's like, oh, he saved my life. I now view him differently, and because she's affected by that whole thing, and she did the whole CPR kiss. Yeah. It's supposed to add on to it, and I'm just like, oh, this is just cliche.
Yeah,
but
maybe he's not so bad after all.
Like, I still think he's kind of an idiot.
Yeah,
he's just. It's not like he's a bad person.
He's the worst.
But
no, he's not a bad person.
But he does stuff that's like really like not okay.
Yeah. It's like what we had brought up before. It's like he's unwilling to take responsibility for a lot of his actions, and he starts like pushing the blame or lying about things, and then he just can't man up and come out clean with what's going on. and he's like so willing for others to sort of get swept up and believe. I think that's like why I think that he's like a pretty shitty person, but like yeah, I guess like he cares about people and like he is actually like a thoughtful person, and sometimes I just feel bad for Chizuru for falling for this, but
definitely. I don't think that I think because like I like her character, but I don't think that I would want like her character to end up with Kazuya. Like he's just kind of a piece of shit. Like I'm just gonna say it. Like do you like, what do you think? Because like they're doing it for comedic effect, but like I don't think it's okay to just be masturbating to your female friends or your acquaintances.
Yeah, it's weird, especially like an ex-girlfriend. I just find it very, very odd. I don't know, that whole scene was like super uncomfortable.
And he's done it like almost every episode.
Yeah, it's weird, especially since he's like in college. It's like that seems like something somebody like going through puberty would do, and like they have no outlet for like their sexual urges. And this dude is in college, and he's exactly the same. It's a little concerning. I don't know. I just find it weird, man. That's also another reason why I don't like him.
It's just like it's also just not a healthy. I don't want to say.
It's like a healthy view that he has on women.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a healthy view that he has on women because he's just objectifying them and he's just turning them into material, you know?
Pretty much. I feel like that's why he's so willing to just sort of lie about, you know, the relationships and like play along with things because he is getting something out of it.
Yeah. And so
he thinks he's going to get something out of it.
It's very just cringy and honestly just gross.
Yeah, it's pretty cringe. It was that whole scene was pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, and the fact that like he's just like, oh, sorry, well, the first time I fell in love with you is when I fucking came to you. Like that's just such a that's just
when
so
did you
cringy.
First know?
I was masturbating to my ex-girlfriend, and then I came when your face came up in my mind.
You put it that way. Yeah.
No. See, that's a no-go right there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't like him. I really like Chizuru. I think she's great. I think she's a great character.
I agree.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, yeah.
I don't know what the other two
see who we get next. Yeah, I mean, Drew loves the show, man.
Yeah, he
but
does.
Like, it's.
I don't think he likes it for the same reasons that you would normally think that people would like a show like this.
He just likes.
He just loves the debauchery about and how just
like trashy.
Yeah, trashy it is.
Sorry, I don't know if trashy is the right word that he would say. The reason why he likes it, but it's yeah.
He would just say it sucks, and that's why
drama.
It's good. Yeah,
it's drama. It's romantic drama. That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would. Well, I guess we'll find out next week. But you said there's a character coming that.
I don't know if it's coming next episode. Maybe like 2, but soon.
Soon. The controversial character.
No.
No.
I have my own feelings towards this next character, and they're not that positive.
No.
But we'll get to that when we get to it.
Well, sparks will fly.
Yeah.
Speaking of sparks flying, we've got all these magical powers in the misfit of Demon King Academy. Did you watch the latest episode?
Yeah, that was like the start of the Swords arc thing. Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was good. I like this show. It's like typical.
It's a show.
It's a show. You know what's gonna happen. Like it's fun. It's fun when watching it. I like the characters. I like that they keep coming back to the gag of like, oh, he was just a baby. Like he's a newborn.
Oh yeah.
And like everybody's
he's
just
only
like,
a month old.
Oh okay. But like, wait, what? Like, no, that's ridiculous.
Like, oh, he really was a baby.
What? I don't get it, but I mean, I think it's funny. Like they keep coming back to it. doesn't make sense, but it's funny.
Yeah, and like they keep like throwing in like the super like sappy stuff. You just like, oh, he cares about his what his parents do, or he cares about his friends, like that kind of thing. But he's like this demon lord that slaughtered like a bunch of people in the past.
Right,
And
right.
he's just like,
Like they're like, yeah, what a nice guy, what a swell fellow.
what a good fellow. Well, I think he probably is just a good fellow indeed. But I do kind of wonder how much of this, like, he's clearly the strongest person just in this world. Like, I do wonder how much of this, thwarting of the enemy plans can happen, because like it feels like in order for something to progress, he needs to have some sort of adversity, right?
Right. Yeah.
I wonder like how that's going to come about.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last episode too, because it's like he hasn't really had like a challenge, and like when you get these episodes, you get these series where somebody's just like overpowered, it starts becoming mundane, because it's like, well, this antagonist that's like an antagonist like doesn't really like challenge our protagonist. So I'm kind of like still waiting for that. Don't know or see how that's gonna happen just because he's like super all powerful. But maybe it's gonna happen within the next episode with like the whole friend possibly losing his mom and the trap. I mean, like, I don't know, you kind of that's obviously like what's gonna happen.
Yeah. It's too cliche, it's right?
Yeah,
like it just has to be that.
Face. Yeah, it's like right in your face at this point. Like, I know it's gonna happen, but like, am I gonna be satisfied?
They put it in front of you. They're like, oh, why are you at the hospital? Oh, well, my mom is sick. Yeah. Oh, cool.
I can help her. No thanks.
No thanks. I already was told to put an end to you by someone else. So
right.
Cool.
Cool. He's like, all right, cool. Do you think? No worries.
Yeah. I feel like that's sort of, but the comedic nature of the show kind of lends to the fact that I'm okay with this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
compared to weird? Like a regular with Magic High School, there is like they have to like face adversity in there, otherwise like it's just like
just OP
you're clearly the strongest character like in this whole world, like it's boring.
Just take over the world at this point. Is it weird that like I'm so okay with like the way that the show is going? Like, is it, maybe it's just because it's like I don't take the show that seriously, so
I think
like I don't really.
That's probably
really,
a big part, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's like I'm just like, all right, whatever.
You just accept it. It's just all right. Suspension of disbelief. It's off.
I think that's what it is.
It's just.
I guess that's. I'm kind of It's interesting. I wanted to go back. I want to see another show where like I'm unable to put that aside, like. Maybe like Wise Man's Grandchild is like one of those shows too.
I feel like that one is a similar tone though, where you just turn your brain off. You're just like okay with it.
Yeah, interesting. I want to see if there's like another series like that where it's like something about it is making me not believe this. Like it's just like it. I find it like aggravating because the main character is just like unable to face a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, at least like you bring up Wise Man's Grandchild. That one. It's a little bit more acceptable because in that, and there was that other one
that actually like learned,
like they applied science, like like scientific knowledge that people have, like modern scientific knowledge to the magic in order to make it more powerful, and that's why they are more powerful. It's not just you're the strongest being. I pulled on my goggles and saw your power levels over 9,000, so you're the strongest. So it's not like a I guess it's not like an ass pull sort of thing where you just have to kind of power creep it, which like the next enemy has to be like similar level, right?
So OP. Yeah. Because then at that point, it's just going to keep getting like more and more ridiculous.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't reached that point in Misfit yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't.
I mean, there is a person that's trying to pretend to be the Demon Lord.
Guess that's true. Yeah,
brainwashed his followers.
Yeah, but that's like he's like the ultimatum though. It's like that he's like the goal.
Yeah,
I guess I mean, I don't quite see the show going to like a second season.
I don't see this getting a second season at all.
I mean, maybe I think the manga like started, so maybe like they'll keep going with it, or the light novel or whatever.
I just feel like this is one of those shows that you just forget about once it stops airing.
Yeah, pretty much. I could see that. It was fun while it was there.
Yeah, it's an advertisement for the manga.
Yeah, another one.
Decadence. So I haven't seen the latest, but Alec and I did watch episode 2. We're both very confused.
All right. Welcome.
Very significantly confused at what is going on. Like,
yeah.
We were talking about it as we were watching. We were like, wait, so they're in a physical game, and then if they die in it, then they restart a new physical character, and then they're these weird alien like robot life form things. Yeah.
So there's like, and of course spoilers. Yeah. So there's like two factions that are in this world. It's like the beings or aliens that are playing a game. And it's like, well, when you die in an MMO, you just make either. Well, I guess in this case,
they're playing hardcore mode, so they got to make a new character.
Yeah. I was like, that would suck. But yeah, they're playing like hardcore, so it's like if you die, like you just gotta like restart, and it's like no big deal to them. But like there are actual like people who are like living in this world who think it's a real world, you know. So they're
like NPCs.
Essentially like NPCs, and they're like, you know, forced to work inside of as tankers, and when they die, they don't get reborn. That is the ultimate sleep for them. Yeah, so it's crazy. Yeah, it's interesting. You should watch episode 3. That was a good episode too. I don't know. I like the show. I think it's fun.
I'm just absolutely lost. So, like, honestly, if the third episode is just as confusing, I don't know if it would keep watching it, just because I'm just so confused.
Yeah, it kind of starts moving past that like whole shock of, you know, like the whole like ass pull of, whoa, we're in a virtual world, but not really. And it starts moving towards like an actual like towards the story and like the relationship between Natsume, I think. Yeah.
All right.
So,
well,
it's fun. It's a fun show. Ollie Vox and I were watching it on Wednesday. I'll see if maybe he wants to do that again. Maybe we'll catch up again on Wednesday and see if other people want to join us this time too.
Cool. Well, moving on, Fire Force season 2. If you didn't know, the first half of the episode was spoiled by the preview from last week. So,
yeah. It's like I don't understand why they do this, and then it's like the same thing that they do with the OP. It's like they just go and spoil everything that's gonna happen in the show. Like why? Like why do that?
what's
Just
the point?
I don't know if any other show I can remember like does this so often, where they just like tend to just spoil everything. I
was honestly appalled last week when I saw the preview, because I'm like,
I guess I know what happens. Yeah.
Like, I know what's gonna happen now. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like if you purposely want to leave the actual show on a cliffhanger, don't put in the preview what's gonna happen.
Right.
And then call it's the time to choose. That's the name of the episode.
It's like, well, I know what.
Well, I know what the choice is.
That's funny. I mean, it's like, it's almost at that point like you might as well just read the manga. Like you're gonna want to, if you want to know what happens next, it's already out there. The source is out there.
Yeah.
And I guess you want to watch. I would like see if I was like yeah, absolutely. If I were in your position, I would want to watch it for the first time and like not
get spoiled by the show itself.
The fun of it. I guess there's people out there who like getting spoiled. You know.
All right, I guess so.
Want to and have to know like what's gonna happen next.
I just have to say that the Inca is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't like her at all. Yeah, she's an interesting character. You have to admit, like her power is cool, and the way that she acts is like slightly fucked up, but like it's at least interesting. It causes issues, but yeah, she's awful.
She's awful. Her friend. He doesn't have any powers. He's scared as fuck, and he comes back to save her. and he's against like these second generation uh fire power users, and he's like trying to save her, and what she does is she kills him,
just kills him, dude,
in a brutal
Yeah,
way
that was
too.
brutal.
That I'm just like, this character is a piece of shit.
Yeah, it just like solidifies her position and her choice. Yeah, it's like, all right.
And
you
she's
didn't
just
have to
all,
do
my
that,
power
but
told me
okay."
to do it.
It's like,
My
you
power
really-
dictates my life. It's like, okay.
You didn't have to be such a dick.
That's just an easy cop out for, oh, I don't want to take responsibility for my actions. I just want to do whatever the fuck I want and
Yeah, pretty much.
and act like it's not my fault.
Yeah, that's rough. Poor guy.
Yeah. I mean, she looks like Ichika from Gotobun.
Yeah, when I
And-
read your comment, yeah, I was like, I was laughing.
I already don't like that character in Gotobun, so
Yeah, neither do I.
it already, I guess it tainted my view of this character. And then when she
As soon
pulls
as you
this,
saw it, yeah.
and it's like, all right, it's done. You're instantly in the piece of shit category.
It's like she was already pretty low on that, like,
On the
in
tier
your-
list.
Yeah, in your tier list. So didn't help that she went and did this. Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, you're I don't know how far you are in like the manga.
I'm not up to the latest yet. I haven't read it in a couple weeks. I kind of dropped it. There was like an arc of God, what is the kid's the night kid? What is his name? Just blanking.
Show?
No.
Oh,
the night-
Arthur?
Arthur.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, God damn. There was like a whole arc about him that I kind of found a little bit boring. Like, it's kind of funny, but like I didn't think it was like all the gags were just kind of like.
He's just kind of a comedic relief character.
Yeah, there was like a whole arc about him that I like. Right after that, I think I like stopped reading. I'll probably catch up again. It's like it's not a hard read. So I think I had stopped for a certain point. I think after this, maybe like an arc after this, I had stopped for like a couple months, and then I just like read
Breezed
it all
through
and,
it.
like, yeah. And then I caught up, and then I was just like, well, I guess that's another series I need to keep track of.
I guess I'll just wait for it to get another 50 chapters and then read it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's happening.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been watching The God of High School because I haven't really liked the pacing of it. So I don't know if you're still watching it.
I didn't watch today's episode, but yeah, I'm still watching it. It's a show. It's all right.
To me, just like the pacing is just kind of, it's too
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, like I said, you gotta read the webtoon. If you like it and you like the action, I mean, it's cool seeing it animated, but I mean, and like, yeah, the animation's pretty good. It's map up. It's not gonna be bad, but I mean, if you're okay with reading it, the action's still really good. Like, the fight scenes are still like really well drawn, so not like you're missing a whole lot.
Tell me, does the webtoon go to space?
Do they go to space?
Yeah. Maybe.
They mentioned space. Something is
like,
in space.
I'm just wondering what Mappa's gonna do about that.
It's not for a while, but they definitely.
They'll put it in
They're
space,
gonna cut
right?
it. They're gonna cut it in like something's on the moon. Like it's a fair question. Maybe that's why they were so willing to just like do the show. They're like, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah.
he's gonna go to
Space. You said space. That's my key word right there.
We're in. We're all in. They're like, yeah, brother. Let's do it. Let's go to space.
Oh man. I guess last up we've got Lapis Relights. I think you and I are the only ones watching this one.
I think so. Yeah, I like this show, man.
Yeah,
It's cute girls doing cute things, man.
it is, but it's not just strictly slice of life.
Yeah.
There is a plot that we're not really seeing progress, but I don't really care about that.
Yeah, right. I think like the last 3 episodes we haven't seen like any progression in them. Like, the fear of them getting expelled is like nothing has happened since then. It hasn't even come up. It's just, I don't know. It's still funny. It's like fun.
We don't even know why Tiara is the like
why
she's just so special as a princess, right?
No,
Her
no,
older
no.
sister's clearly like a talented witch, but
Nope. I don't care anymore. That's passe. Dude.
yeah, who cares?
Who cares? I mean, it's just like cute girls doing cute things, and it's funny. I find it funny. I think it's like some of the gags, especially in the latest episode 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to turn into like a slight horror themed show or episode. It was
But it was
funny.
a funny horror themed episode.
Yeah, it was funny. It's like they'd walk into the room with like the dolls, and I was like, no,
That's creepy.
No, I am signed out of there. Like, no, get me the hell out. But like it was a funny episode.
Yeah.
And so if it keeps going like this, I'm gonna enjoy the series. And I think somebody mentioned in like a thread was just like I'm not a fan of like idol shows. Like what I like this show.
It's not really an idol show, really.
Yeah. It's the idol element to it is pretty minor, which if you're willing to get past that and experience the sadistic candy, just one of the duos that was shown in the latest episode.
The music actually is pretty good for like a show that doesn't really seem like it's trying to like be that sort of like idol show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, it doesn't seem to be taking itself that seriously. Like I don't know if they they probably will try and like implement some sort of live concert type of thing with the Seiyu, but
Yeah.
I feel like if they even didn't do that and just kept it contained, like just as an anime and then maybe a mobile game or something like that, they could probably get some
More
money out of it.
Yeah, possibly. I feel like it has potential. Like, if they were to expand on something, either like at certain groups or like Seiyus outside of this show, I feel like it has potential. It's just it's like kind of interesting that it was sort of touted as like an idol show before the series started. But
And
now
then
it's like it's like a minor element of the show, which is fine. I mean, like I'm okay with. I would be okay with it if there was more of it.
Yeah. Rather than just the ending songs or just an insert song in every episode.
Like a 30-second song.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
I like
endings are good. Yeah.
I like
the
the latest ending. The one with I forgot what their group was called, but it was that Amelia girl that drains everyone's power or their energy.
Alpha.
And
Yeah.
Alpha, who is honestly like the best character so far because she's so deadpan and funny.
So funny. She's like, everybody gets scared, and she's like, "Oh, my heart went doki doki."
She just says that with just this straight
Didn't even
face.
move,
Doesn't
like-
even move. And she's purposely getting Amelia into like these situations just to get a laugh out of it.
Right. Yeah, she's a great character. Yeah, I thought that ending was good. That was one jazzy tune, man.
And it was.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that kind of wraps up today's episode, right? There's not much. I don't know if maybe you're seeing anything else this season that you'd wanted to discuss, but
No, that's pretty much it. I know we had talked about Symphogear with Olivox. It came up a couple times. You guys were talking about it today in the Discord. I think I'm gonna start watching it this week.
all right, start
Yeah.
watching it. I still haven't seen the last 2 seasons of it, so you got some catching up to do.
Oh lordy, how many seasons are there?
There's like 5.
Oh, oof, that's
Yeah,
rough.
'cause-
I was looking for another show this weekend. What did I watch this weekend? Oh, well, I started reading Haikyuu. I know you guys said to read Promised Neverland, but I like saw
You're
Haikyuu.
you're gonna finish both of them anyways. So it's,
Yeah, I saw a Haikyuu video on my like YouTube feed, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this, and then I was like, I'm gonna read the manga. Like, that was easy. that was just an easy decision. So yeah, I'll start watching Symphogear. I think it'll be a good show.
yeah, I've kind of been. It's odd because like I've been trying to look for stuff to watch that isn't like the current stuff,
Yeah.
but like I don't really feel like looking into a backlog. And part of me also just kind of wants to rewatch a show, you know, that
it's,
like
it's easier to like,
yeah. To know
easier to
there's a
kinda-
show that you enjoyed before and just rewatch it and just kind of just like not even like pay attention to it and just like have it there.
yeah, kind of tune out sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. 'Cause it's like I want to watch a show sometimes, like if I'm like eating or if I'm like doing other work, and then so I want to enjoy something, like enjoy watching it. So it's so easy to go to a show that you've seen and you enjoyed. Because I started watching Akame ga Kill again, but I've been like falling asleep to it like the past week.
It's kind of an odd show to fall asleep to, but
I know. I just wanted something cool to watch, so it's like I'll watch an episode and then like halfway through the next episode I'll fall asleep. So it's like the next day I'll rewatch that episode and then again fall asleep to like the next one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm weird. So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Steve was doing that.
Yeah, that's right. I remember him saying that. He was like, "Yeah, I've been trying to watch it for like the past month." I'm like, "Dude, it's not that long of a show."
Yeah, but he keeps like watching it right before bed and just passing out.
It's funny. I was like, "It's a good show." It's like I don't know how you could fall asleep to that show. Well, now I know.
Yeah, that's because you have firsthand experience.
I know. Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, I guess that kind of wraps things up. So, this Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, we have our Clannad After Story rewatch. This week we have episodes 5 and 6. Join our Discord. Go to animeondraft.com/Discord to get the link. Link is also in chat. So yeah, join us in our Discord. We will be watching it there through Discord share, and you just feel free to come and hang out. Also, to talk to us and anybody else in our Discord about any shows you may like, any beers you may like or enjoy. So yeah, come and hang out. Our website, animeondraft.com. Everything is on there. All of our social media, our podcast episodes, they go up there during the week. Currently we stream Mondays starting around 7 p.m. Pacific time. Depends kind of like what time we get out of work. But we're trying to start around then. And then our alternate stream schedule is on Wednesdays if we can't do Mondays around the same time. We are on twitch.tv/animeondraft. Our Twitter is @animeondraft. Mark over here is the main man behind our Twitter. So if you have anything to tweet at Mark. And then
at Mark.
Yeah, tweet. Yeah, go at Mark. No, go at @animeondraft. Our Instagram is @animeondraft podcast. You'll see different beers we're having. And then YouTube, Anime on Draft, podcast services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, you name it. Just search for Anime on Draft. So if you want to give us a 5-star rating on any of these podcast platforms, it really helps with our visibility. And we'll probably read your review if you write us something nice. So yeah, I think that wraps things up. I think it was a pretty
Fabulous Max
episode.
Nice.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
See you next week.